Good evening, good evening. Trying to give everybody a few minutes to join in. Sarah Mia, I just sent you a request to join. You got to accept. It says you're unable to join. I'm trying to click it. Nadine and Weenie. Okay, yes. Yes.
There it goes. Hey.
Hey.
This is my first time joining a live, so I didn't know what was happening at first.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. One.
Can you ladies hear me?
Yep.
Is it a loud sound?
Yeah, like sound like wind blowing maybe.
Yeah, I'm right by the air. I'm in my hotel room. One moment.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I might have to come back.
Oh, you're still out there for the party?
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. So I'm gonna come right back in, okay?
Okay.
Sarah Mia, you look gorgeous.
Thank you. So do you. I've always
Thank
admired your skin. It's
you.
just yeah. Let me put my phone.
Okay.
How's your day been?
My day has been great. I'm excited. Good things happened today. I
Good.
had a presentation early. I've been online for a while, but it's good though. It's
Good.
good. How about you? How have you been so far?
My day has been great. On Mondays, I try to relax. So I've been trying to relax
Okay.
today. Yeah. Because the weekends are
Okay.
always a lot. Always a lot.
Did you sing somewhere this weekend?
I did on
Oh,
Saturday and Sunday.
nice. Where did you
Yeah.
perform?
In Charlottesville, Virginia. So it's about like 3 hours from me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So getting there, performing, then getting back. And I do multiple services on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay, yes. Monday to recoup. I'm sorry. I wish I known that.
No,
But
this is relaxing. I mean,
okay,
like, I don't be like taking phone calls and like doing work and things like that.
okay.
Yeah.
And for some reason, my brain really would not wrap around the fact that the 16th was Monday. Like, first y'all had to tell me that the 16th wasn't last week, and then about the 16th was Thursday, but still saying tonight. I feel like I'm trapped in a time warp. I got to pray about this.
No, because I had got a notification. You know how the notifications come across your screen? And I
Uh-huh.
just saw something really quick and it said this week. And I was like, this week? I was like, that came up way faster than I was expecting. But I didn't really catch on until you had texted us and you were like, wait, is the 16th Monday?
Right.
Yes.
Talking about Thursday. Okay.
Can you ladies
Yeah.
hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay.
And how are you today, beautiful?
I'm here. It's been a day, but I'm here.
Okay. Look,
I'm
I get
here.
debt setting. I see you back in Dallas. I'm like, oh man.
They
Yeah,
having fun without us.
I
They
came for
did.
the party. Had so much fun. We had it back tomorrow, but yes, we had an amazing time. He knows how to put on a party, okay?
Okay. Look, Mia, I was looking at the pictures like, man, I wish I was there.
Come on. It was invite only. I was like, mine must have got lost in the mail. That's
Okay.
all that happened.
I think it was he had to, make sure a lot of
I'm
people,
joking.
I get it. I was just happy to be there myself. I'm like, wow. So yeah, it was really cool, and it was so beautiful. So.
And then Charles and Sis was taking pictures of all the good looking food. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The food was banging. I enjoyed myself, but I'm back to salads today.
Okay.
But I
Hello,
enjoyed it though.
hello, Azur.
Hey,
Okay,
Azure.
we're trying to get a few more minutes to log on, but while we're waiting, my folks that are with us, put where you're from in the chat. Put where you're from in the chat so we'll know who's on with us. And we can shout outs like that means, but still, hey. You know.
I'm gonna put mine in there.
Yeah.
I'm loving that background, Sarah. That's
Thank
beautiful.
you. Outside.
And
Oh
she's
wait.
serenity, isn't she?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Austin, Texas. Okay.
ATL, Philadelphia.
See you,
Who's
Georgia.
created to love?
Natasha is
Hey,
pretty
Natasha.
Yeah.
It's the birthday girl.
Yes.
All month.
Wonderful.
All May. Happy birthday.
Well, y'all better get ready for the real turn up when the July babies come, okay?
And see, that's baby sis right there.
I'm
Her Chris.
the astrological sign, but I would say the month of July. Get ready for the real turn up. Okay? Straight in the city on y'all.
I see my
All
North Carolina
month.
girls are in here.
Okay, North Carolina, we love.
Yeah, my girls. My girls are showing up.
They are. I'm too excited. Okay, well, ladies, Natasha said, invite me, Carolyn. Okay. Give us a second. I want to run through a couple of things first, and then we'll add. But
Yeah.
I'm super excited about this because I think that I think this is a well needed discussion. And she doesn't. I don't know if she knows this, but Sarah Mia is responsible for this discussion. Okay.
What did I win?
You know, and you win. God bless you. But hey, that's them words hold weight, you know.
They do. They do.
So the name of this discussion, guys, is called Church Girls and Toxic Positivity, but really it can apply to anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and I'll tell you what spurred the discussion was we were texting. We all belong to this group, and we were sort of texting back and forth about something. And I was kind of telling a joke, but you know how every moment of humor has some thread of reality to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was saying, I was, you know, being my silly self and talking about how the dating pool got a turd in it. Okay, I'm just saying.
It's still funny.
I wish I could say it was something else. I wish I could say it had a piece of paper in it, but it got a turd in it. Okay? And so, you know, we were laughing back and forth, and Sarah Mia was like, okay. And so somebody, and I know they had the best of intents, responded. And so this is not a dig at people who remain optimistically positive, but it just says something about the way that we've been thinking. And so somebody responded and said, what pool are you looking in? So I'm 101. I'd have been to the pool, the sauna, the bathtub,
Jacuzzi.
Okay, the jacuzzi. All right, the country club, private pool, all of them. And they still got what? A turd. Okay. Now, do I believe that I'll go to some more and maybe possibly one or two might be clean? Yes, I'm optimistic about that.
Yes.
But so far, not so good. Okay.
Yeah.
And so Sarah Mia responded at that time, and I thought she said something that was very apropos, right? She was like, she put up a little sticker about what being toxically positive meant, right? And just saying how this whole notion about toxic positivity is really hurting a lot of us. And at the time, I was thinking in terms of it's hurting single women, especially because we're so much so people are, I don't want to hear about that no more. But this is my reality. And I'm not complaining. I don't talk about it all the time. But when I do, let a sister feel.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but so often when we have that moment, immediately somebody responds with, put your big girl panties on, or, you know, or that's not your future, and get
You need
excited.
more faith.
Right. And so I want to say a little bit into detail about that for us.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll read the definition of toxic positivity to start. So it says, we define toxic positivity as the excessive and ineffective overgeneralization of a happy, optimistic state across all situations. The process of toxic positivity results in the denial, minimization, and invalidation of the authentic emotional human experience. And a lot of times what happens with Christians and people of faith is that you can't, in certain circles, you can't even be honest without them jumping down your throat and quickly telling you, don't say that. You need to change your language. But the thing is that we are human and we need space to feel the things we feel sometimes, you know? If someone passed away and we're grieving, we're allowed to mourn. We're allowed to be sad that the person is not here with us anymore. A failed relationship, we're allowed to be sad about that. If it has taken us longer than we feel like it should to meet our spouse, it is okay to get discouraged about that. But when people try to quickly silence you in the name of faith, that is not faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. You can have faith and still have periods and pockets of discouragement. I can be a woman of God and still have a bad day and say that I'm having a bad day. And I haven't left the faith, and it's not anything to just, no, change your language. Don't say that. I'm allowed to say that. Bad things happen, and I'm not happy. I'm sad. I'm not going to pitch a tent here, but I need the space to be honest and not live in denial about what's happening.
Absolutely.
Charles, you want to give us your 2 cents on what do you
So,
think
yeah, very similar to that. I come from a perspective of being the woman who's, from my example, would be the single woman who wants to be married, the single woman who wants to be married and have a child. And I know sometimes you'll get met with, just wait on the Lord, be positive, pray about it. And these are all things that people are doing. But sometimes you need to vent. Sometimes you need to get it off your chest. And I'm not asking you to do anything in particular, but sometimes it's nice to just have an ear. You can think of that in the world of business. If you're hoping that your business will take off and it didn't take off within a certain amount of time, and somebody who might be more successful than you, they definitely always looking for encouraging words, but sometimes it can be shut down with, well, did you go hard enough? Or, it'll be okay. And it's, just keep on. But sometimes you need to just literally get it out. So I come from the perspective of examples and knowing all too well that sometimes I literally just need to get it out. And and sometimes it doesn't feel like I can open up to someone who's ready to shut me down quickly. It's like sometimes let that feeling, it's actually valid in the moment. Of course, I can eventually get past it and move on and keep on pushing. But sometimes in that moment, let me have my moment. Just let me have my moment, and I'm gonna come back around and I'm gonna be back in the game too. But in the moment, I'm in my feelings, and I feel like that's valid. And I feel like you have a number of examples of different scenarios where that actually applies. Mm-hmm. So I feel it's time that we start allowing people to have the moment and just be. Sometimes the word empathy is probably what really is what is missing in this component, and that people don't empathize with other people. Just put yourself in my shoes for that moment, even if it's for just a few seconds. Just let me have the moment. So I'm totally for this conversation.
And what's so crazy about this? That moment is even biblical, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at Ecclesiastes, and it talks about, when it talks about the times in our lives, right? And it talks about there's a time to mourn and there's a time to be happy. There's a
Yeah.
time when there's a time for sadness. So, if we look at the very sort of meaning that, that means that everybody has a time or a moment, sometimes even a season for some people, where they may experience disappointment, discouragement, grief, loss. And nobody's saying you got to join into the pity party, right, with those people. Because we're by no means talking about having a pity party. But what we're saying is you got to let people have a moment.
Yes.
I think for me, it was very real. Like, I think it was last week or week before last, I got some news that kind of sucker punched me. I wasn't, because I felt like I had done everything, and all the signs were pointing toward, yes, girl, this is you know. So when I got news that was very, very much oppositional to what I expected, it sucker punched me, right? And the blessing in it for me at that time is my friends, my besties, they knew how hurt I was, and instead of them saying, "Put your big girl panties on, you need to be happy. You got a house, you got you got food in the refrigerator, you know how church folks are hit you with, you got more than a lot of people got." You're like, hold on now.
Yeah.
My dog still died. I know I got something to get them on my dog,
Yeah.
So instead of them hitting me with that, they were like,
Yeah.
very encouraging. And I say maybe like 3 or 4 days into it, both of them were like, look, I know you hurt, friend. I know how you feel, and I'm gonna give you some time, but we got to take this thing off.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that, right? Because what people don't understand is this whole notion of this whole paradigm of toxic positivity that masquerades itself as faith is causing a lot of people to repress emotions that lead them to imploding.
Yeah.
They implode, right? You wonder why you have so many women, self-included, in the church constantly gaining weight, right? And because we act like gluttony ain't a sin. Gluttony is sin, right?
It is.
Or you have people that are over watching TV or just checking out on life. And it is because the emotions that they're having, I know for me, there are plenty of times when I was stressed and I didn't know what to do. And as opposed to voicing it, because if I voiced it, you ain't got no faith. You ain't got no, right? If I voiced it, then I would be accused of not having faith. And so I'm gonna give me a piece of red velvet cake and just not think about it.
That's
Right?
me.
Or either I'm gonna stop anything productive and watch hours upon hours of TV, or just do something that is entirely non-productive, because instead of me dealing with that emotion, I'm repressing it, and it's coming out in very, very other forms. And I think we got to teach people that emotions are not bad. Emotions are actually like a thermometer. You know how the doctor gives you that thermometer and you're above, 97, 98 degrees?
Mm-hmm.
It knows that you've got a fever and it's a sign of sickness, right? Well, our emotions show us what's going on in our lives and what's going wrong. And that's why they're so important that we acknowledge these things. So ladies, what do you think about that?
So I can say that in my prayer life, I was stuck for a number of months because what is taught is that you're not supposed to speak things negatively, because then it gives the devil like an edge over you. Like if he hears you talking negatively, he's going to use your words against you. So I couldn't even be honest with God about the things that I was feeling. Like I'm hurt, I'm angry, like God, I was expecting you to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm genuinely disappointed that it did not happen. I feel let down by you. those were things that I needed to get out in prayer because that's the type of relationship that I have. But for a while, I was like so bound up with this teaching, this doctrine that I could not. And I avoided therapy because, once again, you're only supposed to speak positive. So I can't go sit in a counselor's chair, a therapist chair, and tell them what's going on that's not going right, because I'm supposed to speak those things that be not as though they were. So I'm not allowed to speak that things are going like haywire in my life right now. I'm supposed to only speak that things are going well. All is well. All is going to be good. Things are on the right track, when that wasn't the reality. So I stayed stuck in a box. Like, I couldn't really pray. I couldn't go to therapy. I was just like, I have these feelings, but I can't say them out loud. I can't talk to anybody. It was a miserable place to be.
Yeah, and
Completely.
I got even at one time, and this was, we all have different seasons in our life when God is training, right? A lot of times those seasons of training are not pleasant. Let's just keep it let's keep it 100. Okay, some of those seasons of training are not pleasant. So there was a time, like before I had the job that I have now, God had me in a season of training where he took me to a place that was unfamiliar to me. And I didn't like it. I'm just gonna be real. I didn't like it, right? Now there were some times that I liked it. I saw the impact that I was making. And then, at one point, I was like, like, did I do something bad? Did I do something to somebody? I can't remember, Lord. Am I being punished, right? And I was literally breaking down. Let me tell you how bad the breakdown was. Okay, I had to tell the whole story. So I was a retention and graduation coach, and we lost funding, so I had to go into the classroom at a public school. I was teaching 9th grade, and I don't know if it was the Church of Satan instead of a school. I don't know what was going on, but them kids, they weren't giving kids, okay? So one day it got so bad that one of the little boys, who was complex, since we trying not to use bad words, okay? He was complex. I just had got to my wits' end, and I was talking to him one day, thinking that I could reason with the young man, right? Y'all, I started crying in front of the man. I said, would you treat your mama like you treat me? Don't you think why would you want to treat me? I mean, I cried in front of a 9th grader, okay, on the steps of a school trailer. And so in that moment, he looking like, hey, she messed up, And he was looking like he felt for me, right? But on that day, he went right back to acting like a donkey. Right? And so I got to the point where all I could do when I left school was eat in my car and go home and go to sleep. That's all I could do, right? And I was in a perpetual state of sadness. And when I tell you, I to go before school start and anoint every desk. I would pray instrumental praise and worship music in the room. Dappy T. Keys, y'all know who that brother is, don't you?
Yes. Pray to that music. Yes.
Okay, I would play keys in my classroom, and they'd be like, "What is that in the background?" So I think they'd be like, "What is that? Turn it off!" And I'd be like, So I'm walking and all of this, right? So I got to the point I just couldn't take it anymore. And I remember I asked a particular person, because they knew a woman of God that was a therapist. And so I asked this person for that therapist number. And she was like, "Oh, you just need to pray more." Unless I'm going to come in and lay on the altar, it wasn't no more praying I could do. And I got to the point I couldn't even cry to him. You know how you had an ugly cry, nothing come up. I don't want to. And so finally, I called a therapist. Right? And this particular therapist helped me walk out a lot of things that because and the other thing is that even though I think my friends were very compassionate toward me during that time, shout out to Trina and Faith, they're on here now. They were very compassionate toward me, but I didn't want to keep burdening them with all my issues.
Yeah.
Because that gets old too, right? And this is why I think
Yeah.
they're also important. And
It
so
is.
when I started talking to my therapist, who was also a woman of God, she started giving me strategies. And as simple as many of the strategies were, because I was so chaotic in my mind and so just drained, I didn't have the strength to think. And she said something to me that sort of broke me out of my hole. She said, Carolyn, everything doesn't have to be a battle. She said, if God would allow people who don't even know him to work jobs and live lives and have careers that bring them joy, why wouldn't he do the same for you, his daughter?
Wow.
Yeah. That blessed me because here I was the whole time. You got to be a tough soldier in the army of the Lord. You got to battle this thing out. You got to pray. You know, so because that's how we do, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's how they do.
Ain't got me no money to come home to and tell them about my day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming to this big house by myself. And then I started thinking, I said, well, if I quit and I work at Target, I can sell this house. I might have to live with somebody for a while, but this is now you said I'm thinking about selling my house and working at Target, okay? But I needed that strategy and I needed somebody to tell me that it was okay to have that moment. Because I'm imploding, guys. For those who don't know means to explode from the inside. Now, nobody could see it, right?
Yeah.
So you may look normal. People were just like, oh, girl, you gained weight. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know, and so I'm from the inside, I'm just exploding.
Yeah.
But what can you do?
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say, where I was at, I was going to say what I would say kind of currently dealing with a little bit. So I'm being more vocal and I'm coming on social media, being consistent. And with that, you know, I'm talking about where I'm at in my body right now, being plus size and living my life right now. And so my concern that I was concerned about was sometimes the body positive community can be toxic because though I'm comfortable saying, hey, go live your life, go pursue your dreams, go on that date right now, don't stop until you lose weight. I never said I didn't want to change my body. I never said I don't want to, there's nothing wrong with me saying, hey, I want to be a little healthier. My body might change over a period of time, but I have seen that sometimes the body positive community can be cutthroat. Just to be honest with you, especially if you build it like, oh, you said you was this, you said you like, hey, I'm plus size. I live my life. I get dressed. I go out. I talk to whoever. I have a good time, but I still want to transition into a healthier lifestyle for me. Me personally, maybe not all plus size people, but I get winded going up steps. Okay. To me, that's a sign that maybe a change needs to take place. I'm not going to stay a size to help somebody else out and how they're feeling for them when there's changes that need to take place. So sometimes you have toxic positivity in other communities that call themselves, quote unquote, being positive. And it's like, you can't beat me up for saying that, you know, I don't always want to be the same size at 60 years old, or I want to make changes. But in the meantime, I'm saying I look good now. You know, I'm gonna look good then. Like there's a message that I'm putting out, but toxic positivity is in a lot of different areas. And that was something I was nervous about. You know, I'm putting out a message, I'm being consistent, saying something, but you're going to also see other messages where you're going to see me at the gym. You're going to see me going out, doing things that make sense for my health, changing my body, because there are certain benefits that come along with that. But the positivity thing is people who are like, you know, who might come up under your post and make a negative comment and call themselves saying it, you know, in a positive light, and it's not positive. So the toxic positivity touches in a lot of different areas. I know we're talking about the church here, but it touches. And I know that was something that I was recently kind of like, you know, oh, you know, will they say something? Like, I don't, at this point, and I had to pray about it. Be like, Lord, Holy Spirit, what you want me to do? And this is the message that I'm supposed to keep pushing. I'm going to keep pushing it. So that's something I had to really come and work through and not be somewhere in my feelings in case somebody was like, okay, I see you 20 pounds lighter and you might see me lighter than that. Or if I say, for example, one of the things that I think happens if I say I'm fat, for example, like that's a word that people are really afraid of. You say you're fat and they're like, oh no, you're beautiful. No, I'm both.
Right.
I'm fat and I'm beautiful. You have this a negative connotation that you have with this thing that is like trying to teach people how to speak to people. Don't try to knock me, try to tell me that I shouldn't see what I see, deal with what I'm dealing with. Like I'm both. Like I am a beautiful person, not just for something on the outward, because I'm a beautiful person on the inside too. But people sometimes in the different communities, the toxic positivity can come out in so many different ways. And I can say for me, that's what I'm personally dealing with now.
Yeah.
And it can be frustrating. Even having this moment talking about it can be uncomfortable. But I'm putting it out there because I don't feel I need to have to suppress it because it might make someone else uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I love the transparency of both of you ladies. And I think what's so wonderful is it's so wonderful to find women of God that are authentic and authentic, transparent, and sincere, right? Like, because what I know about you ladies, and I don't know a lot, but what I know, what I can feel, right? Because the spirit, it's testimony of the spirit, right? Is that you ladies really, really like love God for real, like I ain't going to church because they giving good speeches or it's some good looking men's up in there. No, but like, yeah, I love them, right? But it's also an element of realness that like, hey, like, I'm not gonna be some old church lady usher serving fried chicken and fried chickens. Like I'm still gonna live and honor God in my living. And I think that where we get it twisted is sometimes we want people to be so heavenly minded they ain't no earthly good.
Okay, talk about it.
We can't honor God with our words, but also be real, right? Because if that wasn't the case, then why would we tell people our testimony? That part. You know what I'm saying? Why you tell people your testimony if you're only supposed to ever tell them the good part about it?
Yeah.
So the truth of the matter is that sometimes it is necessary for us to walk parts of our lives. And I think that the reason why I talk specifically about what it's like for church girls is because we're always expected to encourage other people. And what happens is there's this weight, this tremendous weight that's on our shoulders.
Yeah.
That you got to be Jesus 24/7. You got to have a collar up to your neckline. You can't show your baby toes. You got to talk. You can't ever have a bad day. Even when you have a bad day, you got to get up, shut the door, and that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. And I think the thing, I'm not saying I got this thing down, but I think that even in terms of like when I mentor young women and I have these conversations, I think the thing that gives them an ear to hear me is that I'm real. I don't try to hit them with John 3:16 every time I talk to them. Now it's gonna be some conversation, point blank, period. Okay. You don't want to hear about Jesus? Don't talk to me. Okay. But at the same time, there's transparency and authenticity in these conversations. And sometimes I have to say, like, say for instance, when we talk about this whole notion of what it means to live in holiness and walk upright, right? Like I always tell people, I'm not down with the purity, because purity culture is a whole lot like toxic positivity. Purity culture is telling folks that if you keep your legs closed, you'll get a man. Okay, you know, if you look like you holy, you'll get a man. Listen, I've been having my legs closed for a long time. I don't know how long it's tender. Okay, and that ain't earned me no man yet. So what happens is, what I really believe, and we don't talk about this enough, is that God is not looking for closed legs. Because I know a lot of nasty. Not a whole lot of them, because there ain't a whole lot left. But I know some virgins with some horrible attitudes.
Yes.
Okay. And they like to go around as if that gives them moral superiority. But you still a nasty little weirdo.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's give it a
Right?
puppy. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is I think that we have to understand what God is looking for is the intents and motivations of our heart. So when I'm
Yeah.
having that moment, am I complaining to God, or am I just saying what I'm going through in that moment? And this pressure to constantly always have to be so positive. And I think even and when I keep talking about the church because we're church girls and we go from inside the church and we take it out into the world. What the church has to change the way that it talks to single people.
Yeah.
I'm
You know,
glad you mentioned on that. I really am, and I want to touch on that because I'll see in certain groups, and so I myself am trying my best to abstain. You know, you know, hey, think okay, but when you're on that walk, you're doing your best, and so when you're having conversation with people and you're making certain statements, and they haven't been on a date in 15 years or they shut down that whole part of their life, and ain't nobody, and like as they say, ain't no Harry Knuckles knocking on their door in about 20 years, but they telling you, you know, like when you're really out here and you're trying to get to know people, and somebody says, "Hey, I made a poor decision. I slept with somebody." You know, showing that person some grace, listening to them. "Hey, sis, I've been there. You know, I messed up. You get back on it, and not back on it, but you get back into the game and get your head in the game. Is what I
Yeah.
mean. And you make
Right.
better decisions without beating her up or you know or beating him up about that situation, knowing that they are. But there are certain times, sometimes in the church, people like you know, like you said, the legs closed moment, the legs comment. You know, if you was living for the Lord, if you was you know reading your Bible more, and it's like, listen, you're out here, and some of the singles could use more support. What are you doing when you're actively out here dating? What are some things that you're actually, if you're in the game, what are you doing to be a part that you can kind of help us out? Instead of looking in a place of judgment on, you know, what they doing or what you're not doing. And like I said, you shut down that part of your life years ago. You
no.
know, talking about Jesus is your husband. No, he's not. Okay. I want my earthly husband, and I'm in the process of how to get there. And I need to have this practical conversations with people on how they do it, especially when they're trying to walk in their faith. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's one of the things that people will throw at you, and it's like, no, that's not any help to me. that doesn't get me to be able to, okay, well maybe I can go this route. Maybe this is a conversation I can have with this man. Maybe I wouldn't put myself in certain situations. You know, having certain conversations that would help singles. And I feel like that's something that I do feel like is missing.
And you know what? You said something at the beginning. It was you or Sarah Mia that said that empathy is missing from the conversation.
It is.
Like when you look at, like, I'll give you a perfect example, right? Bishop Do Right, him and his wife got married when they was 19 and she was 20, right?
Mm.
Never had to be celibate, bro.
Mm-mm.
Okay?
Nope. Whole different ball game.
Oh, you know, and he's right, right? Talk to me about when somebody come to you and they put the pimp down and tell you what's up. You know, I was telling Sarah Mia, I had one brother, then he had a radio DJ voice, one of them smooth voice, and he got to telling me, he was like, I would so and so, and I said, oh,
And don't let them be
right
smelling good.
Ooh, that little haircut that they
now,
get on.
the devil was over
That get a fresh cut.
there, okay? The devil was over there, ain't nothing wrong with going on a date with him. Go. You ain't got to give in just because he said that. That's what the devil said. But I'm a woman of God. Okay? I'm a woman of God. So even though the devil tried me, let him have his way out, I had to block him and I had to erase all his text messages because he liked to gap me. Okay? And that was real story. Okay? That's real life.
It's real life.
All right? And so I think that the reality of the situation is that we have to have compassion. We have to think about, like, how are you talking to your single parishioners? And nobody's saying you got to have pity parties with them. Nobody's saying that your church has got to start speed dating, right? You don't have to fake. That's my other bestie, my SB. I had to call her and say, SB, the main said this. I ain't say main at the time. He said, then he talked, he that game. She was like, friend.
Don't do it, friend.
Don't no more. And my other best friend, you know, she for real dear holy. She be like, and he ain't had no business saying that no. And you gonna get up and hold the phone. I'm like, hey, I knew I was because I
That's
kept.
life.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? He was talking, you know. So I had to, but the thing is that they don't know what that's like, and also some of these testimonies that we hear are not edifying. I don't want to hear that you've been celibate for 20 years. That's not edifying. Figure out which testimony you're gonna share with me that's going to empowering and equipping.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Read the room, sis. Read the room. That's like when I'm talking.
Spot on.
Yeah. When I'm talking to my babies that are 19, 20, and 21, I don't automatically tell them how long I've been celibate. What I say to them, talk to them about how God blesses me as a matter of my obedience. And part of that obedience is that I gotta do what He's commanded me to do. And because I do what He's commanded me to do, He blesses me tangibly and intangibly. Right? And I always tell them, I don't serve God for the benefits, but they're benefits to serving God.
Yeah.
And so, and that's not part of that pure culture, but that's more a conversation about obedience.
Yeah.
And so, but I read the room. I know I can't tell them. Let me tell you something. When he start talking about fornication, you gotta run. Cause it's hard for me to run.
I want to hear what he has to say.
Tell the truth, exactly. But
I got the limp. I don't run. About run. He was talking good. I was like, it's hard right here. Okay.
That's the honesty that people need, though, knowing that, hey, it's there. Temptation is there. And teaching them or showing them how you got through it. To me, that's helpful, you know, hearing that. So, because sometimes people will have you feeling like you bad for even wanting it. I'm like, no. Or people who pray away those desires. I'm not asking you to take anything away. You know, I want them, but I need, you know, understanding. But now, you know, what CERT has kind of helped me with it is understanding more about why I'm told to wait. You know, understanding about soul ties, understanding why he says, hey, you know, to wait. I get it now. It doesn't make it easier, no, but it's an understanding that helps me get, okay, Charlesia, this is why you need to sell this. No, this is why, yeah, he's smelling really good. He had that fresh lineup, but you know that the end game is what you truly want. So are you willing to settle for the here and right now, or do you want your promise? So these are the things that help me to keep from giving in. Because be clear, I want to give in too. That's life. Yeah. But I'm working through it. And so when I hear what they do, come on, gray sweatpants, absolutely. These are things that really matter. These things, that's true. And it's like, you know, being single, living on your own, and you like, you know, you want to cuddle. Come on now, like these things that are happening that people try to downplay like they don't matter, and it's real life. It's real life. That's all I'm saying.
I wanted to add that, in my opinion, good people are good people and bad people are bad people. There's a woman on one of my timelines, I won't say which platform, but she's talking about like women, don't post this if you want a husband. Don't take your pictures like this if you want a husband. You need to dress like this, do that. She was married for, I don't know how long, but the entire time her husband was having an affair with somebody that he was involved with before they got married. I'm talking prayer warrior, preaches in church, all this other kind of stuff, and things still did not work out for her. But she's still online dishing out this kind of like archaic advice. If a man is a good man, he is going to be a good man. If you want to wear your swimsuit at the beach and post it online, if he's a good man, he's still going to respect you. Being a virgin or saving yourself from marriage does not earn us like brownie points, you know. That does not earn us good men, because if it did, all of the ladies in church that saved themselves wouldn't have like alcoholics for husbands, abusers, cheaters, all
Me,
that kind of stuff, you know? So that's
me.
also something I keep in mind. And I'm not encouraging everybody to go out and just, you know, live on willy-nilly, but I'm saying good people are going to be good people regardless. We don't earn them
Absolutely.
by you know, keeping our legs closed or like
Yeah.
taking pictures from the neck up. That's just, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
Not at all. And
Totally agree.
I bought a dress from Shein, and I really don't have like breasts for real, but it made my cupcakes look quite big, and I was like, oh, now I know I can't wear shirts and nothing, but I'm wearing that publicly. Like I like that. I like how I look at it. Yeah. I was like, oh, I got cleat. Like, okay.
Look at you, right?
Tag us when you post it.
Please do.
That you should wear anything. You can wear anything you want to wear and still be holy. But what happens is the Holy Spirit will convict you about those things. That's the other part people forget. If that person has the Holy Spirit will convict you about certain things.
Yeah.
Like I know I get
You will.
convicted about certain things, right? Like that's inappropriate. Maybe that needs to be a little bit longer, or you shouldn't say this, or you shouldn't do this, right? And it's not always chastisement, but there's conviction that comes along with it. And I think that's important. But I also think, you know, we have to change the language with which we speak to one another, because too often you always hear it's almost like single women are demonized and mocked at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like on one hand, it's
Yeah.
you gonna take everybody's husband. How about your husband look like Nate Dogg? I don't want your husband. You know, like
We need a separate broadcast for that. I have stories for days.
okay, like
I'm not even looking at your husband,
I'm,
ma'am. Please.
You don't even want them. Why do I?
Thank you, ma'am.
for real, for real.
Stop it. Exactly. Stop it, ma'am.
Like Elmer Fudd, he good for you, okay? I wasn't talking.
He did it for you.
I wasn't trying to tantalize nobody. I like these jeans, okay? And so I think that there's notion that like if you're single, you're trying to get a man. Calm down with that, sir. Calm down. Calm down. Don't nobody want, okay? And then when people do, you can get that, you get that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Seductionist, whatever. But don't think that every single woman wants your man. And also every single woman is not thirsty. That's some other language that we gotta let go of, right? Just because somebody wants to be married does not mean that they're thirsty. God, in the word of God, it says it is not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you're the sister that's all you talk about all the time, like I know women like that, that's all they talk about. And I'm like, I'm so sick of her.
Yeah.
Like for real. And that
I
ain't
know what you mean.
it's like, girl, can we talk about school, the mall, TV shows, some? You know what I'm saying?
What you got going on? Absolutely.
Anything. How
Yeah.
toothpaste you using? I can't spend not one more conversation about a man. You know. So it's just like I think that the word that is missing from all of this, the other word, because you said empathy, but the other word that is missing in all of this is balance. We've got to learn how to have balance. I'm going to toss it over to Sarah Mia. Sarah Mia, what say you about balance?
So that's something I wanted to touch on earlier. I feel like balance is so important because we can have a balance of having faith and still being realistic at the same time, you know? Like, I'll just give a quick story. I know somebody recently who passed away from cancer, unfortunately. When they first got the diagnosis, they refused to take treatment and they just believed that they were going to live and be well regardless. And that's nice, but then once they found out that it was progressing, that the thoughts that they were having weren't working to take the cancer away, then they went in for treatment. It was too late. She passed away. She was in her 30s or 40s. So the balance in between, like, I can say I have a cancer diagnosis, and I can also say I still believe God that I'm going to live and I will be healed, and I'm also going to get chemo. I can say like, hey, I'm going through a really bad breakup right now, and I am sad, I'm hurting. However, I know I won't be here forever, and I know that things will get better. I can say I'm going through a rough patch in my finances right now, but I believe that things will get better, and I'm working towards things getting better. Like, we don't have to live in a state of cognitive dissonance just in the name of faith, you know? And also what you were saying about conviction, also understanding that everyone's convictions are not the same. Sometimes when I tell people that I'm a believer, it's weird. The first thing they ask me about is if I eat shrimp. I'm like, I love shrimp. And they're like, oh, the Bible speaks against that. Um, okay, well, that's your thing. Like, that's not my thing. I'm going to have a seafood boil and I'm going to enjoy. But that's another thing with realizing that everybody is on their journey and everybody has their own walk, and going back to like grace and empathy, giving the people the space to live out their life how they want to live it. Ultimately, we've all been given free will, and we all have the opportunity, the choices to do what we want, whether anyone likes it or not. And like you said, we rely on the Holy Spirit to convict us, to lead us, to guide us into all truth and the way that we should be living. And something I said in our group before, I was like, there are certain ways and certain things about me now as a single woman that when I get married, some things will change. When I have kids, some things will change. But who I am right now, I like who I am, and I don't plan on changing right now. Like, I'm enjoying it. Like, I love God. I also love my bikinis. I love God, but I also like going to concerts. I love going out and having fun. I love God, but I might be in your DMs. Like, I saw this hilarious meme about men with gray sweatpants, and I wanted to send it to you, but I was like, "Ooh, I don't know if you like that." But I'm going to do that kind of stuff because that is who I am. But I'm living a life of balance right now, and I'm happy. Like, I cry some days, but I am still happy with where I am in life.
And then the other thing we got to think about too, right? Like both of you ladies are fashionistas, right? Um, like let's wear the old church lady uniform all the time, right? There are gonna be some people that are not gonna be drawn because of that. But let's say, for instance, I see I'm a young girl and I see Sarah Mia living her best life, but she be posting these deep things about God, and and these messages about God. I'm like, she she saved. Like, wow, I didn't know
Praise
you could
prayer.
live like that. Then I see Charcia, living her best fabulous life, looking all pretty, oozing sexual, right? But without being sexual, because it's a difference, right?
Yes.
Right.
And showing the best fashions and having the beat face, right? I'm seeing Charcia doing this, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. See, that draws people. That draws people, right? You
Yeah.
know, I always tell my friends this, like, that scripture in the Bible that says the goodness of the Lord will draw them to repentance. God is not always talking about his goodness to sinners. Sometimes he's talking about his goodness on the life of believers that will cause sinners to see it and be like, man, I got to try that thing out, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, like, I remember when I was working in alternative school, and I was by no means rich, but my kids thought I was rich, right? Because I used to drive a Cadillac. And, and I know that's an old preacher car, but that thing, oh, no, okay? I'd be floating, and usually I drive like a granny, but when I had that Cadillac, I'd be doing 90 and wouldn't even know. I'd be like, you know what I'm saying? Playing that Pimp C and that Bun B, whipping that thing. Okay, that's enough. So, I had, so you couldn't tell my kids that I wasn't rich, right? And so more and more kids always want to come to church. They always want to talk to me about God. And they be like, oh, Dr. Hall, rich. Dr. Hall.
Yep, I am.
Okay. I argue with them,
And
right? I wouldn't argue with them. I just receive. Now, they would ask me for money periodically, and that's what I had to let them know. Now, I ain't simple. I ain't finna be giving you no money, okay? I buy you a sandwich but you back up off me. Don't be asking for no money. Okay. So, but I think, the thing is that we don't realize how us being our balanced, authentic selves will cause people to be drawn to God because of us.
Yeah.
Because the love of God takes many different forms. And one of the things that we don't think about enough is that when God breathed his breath, he called, and I think in the Bible it's called his ruach, right? He breathed a specific element into each of us.
Yeah.
And so Sarah, that element that he breathed into Sarah Mia is necessary.
Yeah.
The element that into Charlesia is necessary. The element that he breathed into Carolyn was necessary, right? And I used to think, man, I need to be more serious, because a lot of times, church people be serious,
Yeah.
I be like that. And you don't love the Lord, I thought I had to be like that, But that wasn't me. And I always go back to what my best friend used to tell me. She said, friend, God know you crazy. You like that? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, right. She was like, you just be you, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I realized that the me that I am is the me that God meant for me to be. And I don't have to church it up. I don't have to become some kind of nun.
Yeah.
All my eccentricity, because I'm extremely eccentric. I am. I have many proclivities. Okay. Many strange things that I like to do. I like American cheese. I have all kind of strange obsessions. Okay. But that's who God made me, and that is okay. And I think that when we find balance in that, because the other part of this toxic positivity too is about forcing people to fit into a mold that they weren't necessarily meant to fit into.
Yeah.
I know for me, I can say the part about the balance is very important. And I feel like my sister, she's helped me a lot with it, because sometimes I would feel like, well, I'm not saved enough, or I don't do certain things that other people do. And I'm like, no, I love the Lord too. And especially, I would say my faith has grown tremendously over this past year, and my relationship and how I talk to God and just my prayer time with him. It's exceeded even beyond what I thought it would have. But I thought I had to look a certain way. I thought I had to do a certain thing, especially if I hadn't totally stopped. So for me, example, I still could, if I stump my toe, a curse word will fly out. I'm just telling the truth. And I know that sometimes people, but that's something that I took to God. I was like, Lord, take it out of my mouth. And so eventually it did convict me. I wasn't a person who was just somewhere flying off the handle, but if I'm listening to a song, I don't want to skip over the word, I want to say the word too. Or like I said, if something happens, normally it's something that startles me and the word flies out. So, but I've learned now that slowly it's changed, and I just don't do it anymore. And that's how it is. And I didn't have to have a conversation with anybody. I just prayed and asked God, God, you help me with it. It didn't change overnight, but that was me and what I wanted personally in my relationship to have that, I just didn't want to speak that way just for me. But I know a lot of people who still do, and I don't be like, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't do that. I just, hey, that's who they are. And I want to be a person that people can see my lifestyle beginning to change. They see me changing and saying, oh, she moving different. Oh, she doing, I ain't somewhere, with no Bible, stuck to my chest, but they ask a question or we have a conversation, you see that I'm moving a little different. I'm doing things a little different. I'm changing my ways and certain things. I just want it to be more of a lifestyle change versus sometimes people, especially if you have people who are not, their relationship with Christ is not as strong, or they don't even involve themselves with it. Sometimes, and you cool with them, they might be a little put off by it. They're not, sure, can I still do, I still want people to know, hey, you can still, especially if I love you and we're in a relationship together, I've changed, but I see that for me, it was important for my lifestyle to change and for me to be that. And so I have like younger people who I know just from the way I carry myself, they kind of admire certain things, especially my young plus size girls. They see certain things that I do as an example that somebody I wish I had when I was growing up. Or even now when I make certain posts, it's older women in the church who send me DMs like, wow, this encouraged me. So me, and that was just me showing up. I didn't put nothing on and try to be nothing that I want. I was in my swimsuit, big legs out. And there was older women, elders in the church saying, wow, that inspired me. Thank you.
Yep.
just being myself. And I thought I had to be something different. I was just myself. Balance.
That part.
Balance. Yeah.
Well, ladies, I am so glad that you guys joined me tonight. You guys are so awesome. And it was so awesome talking with you guys. And we're doing this again, guys.
Yes.
Third, but on the 23rd, we're doing Zoom so it can be more intimate and you can ask questions and that sort of thing. You can share in the experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So on the 23rd, again, on the 23rd, it's more so about you being able to share in the experience and ask questions. And I think it's really important for us to know that God wants fruits, not nuts, right? There are too many people that are like so stringent on everything
Yeah.
that they push people away. Where the God said, with loving kindness have I drawn them, right? And when people hear you say stuff like that, they think that that means that you're saying that you condone anything.
Yeah.
No, because let me tell you something about me. That the Spirit of God in me is such that people don't feel comfortable doing certain things around me. Even if I don't say a word, right? Like they be like, oh, you don't like that, do it. I ain't saying nothing. That's you, right? But it makes them feel comfortable. And so that's the part. And so what happens is that the Spirit of God in you, the Holy Spirit will start to make people who live a lifestyle that is contrary, sometimes they begin to feel uncomfortable and
Yeah.
they perceive that as judgment when you haven't opened your mouth.
Mm-mm.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And so what happens, and so that's not your fault. That's what happens when the fruit starts to show, right? When the fruit starts to show, it makes people some people it makes uncomfortable, but some people it draws in even more. So
Yeah.
I think that if we to give people anything from this conversation, I would say number one, church folks and people of friends start being more empathetic to people, right? Nobody
Right.
got, again, I repeat, nobody's saying you got to have a pity party with folks. But just because somebody has an emotion of sadness, an emotion of disappointment or discouragement, does not mean that they have walked away from their faith. It's a moment.
A moment.
It's a moment. Sarah Mill, give them another takeaway.
Another takeaway is finding the balance. Your truth and God's truth can both exist at the same time. It doesn't mean that your truth takes precedence over God's truth, but you can be going through something bad and talk about it, get it off your chest, and still have faith, still be a believer.
Absolutely. I would say just continue if in the positive moment, if someone is having a conversation about something, let them have the moment.
Yeah.
Even if you don't necessarily agree, even if you and even if it's something that's like, this is triggering to you, I would find a better way of how to give that person their moment, because sometimes they're not even looking for you to say anything back. They just want to listen in ear. Just let them get it out. And if they keep coming at you with it, I would say just try to work at a better way of how you can explain or say something that might be encouraging, but maybe you want them to be positive, but there's another way that you can go about it, letting them get that off their chest and saying, hey, I see what you're going through. Here's a way to kind of deal with that. Or, I'm here to just listen. I don't even know what to say in this moment, but I'm here for you. So like that would be my takeaway, is basically when it comes to the toxic positivity, just finding another way to let somebody get something off their chest and just being in that moment with them. Empathy. Grace.
One more thing I wanted to add, don't be scared to check yourself, because we're all on a journey. Like, we're all going through process. So sometimes, because of the way that my mind has been conditioned since a child with religion, sometimes I can find myself, like, my thoughts will slip into that where I may want to say it, but I check myself before it comes out of my mouth. And I'm like, let me hear this person out. Let me just let them have their moment, because I have my own things going on. Sometimes I don't want to listen, but I continually check myself because I want to be better. I want to be the person that I talk about. I don't want to be a hypocrite,
True.
I love
That's spot on.
Yeah. And married people, if you got single friends, let me say this, let me end with this. Stop saying, I don't know how y'all do it. Don't nobody want to hear that.
No.
Okay? I don't know.
I'm so glad I'm married now. Well, I'm glad you're married now too.
You
I'm glad you're married now too.
and you also got to say, I don't know how y'all do it. Like you've been married 100 years.
Right.
Don't nobody want to hear that. And stop asking me if I got a man. If I had a man, I'd tell you about him.
I hate that. Oh my God.
You ain't got to be.
Thank you.
Okay?
That's a good one.
That was some personal takeaways. Don't y'all feel no?
Yes.
Every time they see you, say, man, you done met somebody. If I did,
Every time. And I'm like, do you want me asking you personal questions like that? No.
Right.
And
Right.
because he kept on, he was like, so Dr. Hall, you don't have no kids? And I was like,
Ooh, that one.
kids? And I was like, look, if you ain't know me well enough, no, I ain't had no kids. You don't know me well enough to be asking me why I ain't got none.
That part.
That's personal. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, back up.
And people ask that question like, what's your name? Like, I've had people literally, it's like, it rolls off like it's nothing. Like, you're owed that answer. And I'm like, I don't have to tell you why, you know, so especially when you're dating. So why are you single? Why are you single? You know, like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, that question is, and those questions about children and being married, you know, yeah, it gets out of hand. And I think people need to be a little bit more empathetic to single people, period.
Okay. Because I'm not going to ask you, why your husband don't help you with the kids? Why he
Right. Right.
That
Yeah,
was
why
Did
you
his
looking for
salary increase yet?
right.
You don't like that, do you?
You don't like that. Why you got to have a babysitter and you got a husband?
Okay.
You got a whole husband. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
What's that TikTok? Don't talk. You know, I just think that that we really do have to have empathy when we talk to people. And a lot of this stuff, this crazy stuff that people say, they know it was crazy when it came out their mouth.
Yeah.
You know, now one of the things I'm trying to get, I've been praying about is that I'm extremely confrontational and not in a neck turning, finger pointing way, but just enough that you'll back up off me and not ask me those questions again. You know, and one of the things that my friends have been teaching me is that they told me that I was aggressive and that I don't have to respond to everything. So I'm working on that.
And I'm trying to be the opposite. I won't really respond, and I need to. I'll just ignore people or play and like just, you know, give them nothing. And I feel like what I should do is go head first. And if you was that comfortable to say it to me, I shouldn't have any feelings about saying something back to you. Just being honest. So yeah, being more. I mean, and not trying to be like, you know, like I said, in your face fighting. I'm just saying, like, people get really comfortable.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think if I get a little bit more comfortable asking you why you felt so comfortable saying it, maybe you wouldn't be so comfortable.
Then they won't call you rude.
Right. You sensitive. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, I guess we better end it here because look, I done got petty
Oh,
now.
smile. I want to take a quick grab.
Okay, we're smiling. Okay.
Please.
But ladies, I thank you so much, and I thank everybody that tuned in. My SB said, "Calm down, friend." I have them calm. That's my married friend who's gonna pray for you and give you the real. She can pray for you. The real.
We need those. We need
Put her in the
those.
group chat.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but guys, we thank you again. And we're going to put the link to Zoom up probably this weekend. So you can go ahead and sign up and have it. But I'm so excited that you guys joined us tonight. And I thank Sarah and Garcia. Y'all were the best.
We had fun.
Lady, this was fun. Yes. Thank you for having us.
And I'll see y'all next week. Okay.
All right. Good night, ladies. Good night, everyone.
Bye.